And I just turned on the recorder. So what are we looking for in this? So pull down this real quick. Okay, so first of all, I already know that NQ is not trading above the high of the day, even though ES is. So ES is showing leadership. The question is, will NQ bring ES down? So the short was into this, guys, since I just started the recording, because people want to watch this later, I shorted right into the back of this structure. I missed it by a hair. I was a second slow. I ended up taking 1937.50 short. So my stop right now is sitting at a point above that 1938 3/4, which essentially puts me at 1939 3/4. Actually, I have it at 1940, so, and I'll leave it there for now. My goal is going to be to cover this 1935.50 for a first scale if I can get it. Okay. Not yet. It's done. 1935.50 has been covered. Okay. Now I'm going to move my, now at 1935.50, I've got 2 points. I'm going to bring my stop to the swing high exactly. 1939. Okay. I'll still have, I didn't cover the entire half of the trade, Mia. So did you see what I was talking about, Sweet? Okay, so remember, we talked about, and I'm going to try and stick this to the short side now. I know I said I wasn't trading, guys, but I'm trading. It's not huge size, but, you know, there it is. So remember when I talked about, I'm going to bring this in so you can see it. Okay, remember how I talked about when we match structure to structure? So go back. See this move right over here last time? Everything above here was poorly auctioned. So if we get above this 1938, actually 1938 essentially, right? It would have an easy time traveling through here, right? But if it couldn't get above this 1938 and hold, it would reject back lower, right? So now the next question is, okay, I'm covering a little bit more here at 1931. Okay. And so now why am I covering 1931, right? So come back and look at the other side of structure, right? At 1931, we were sitting right here, okay, right back into the low of the day. You see that? Okay, and I know that it's going to be volatile today. So see this right here? And then we re-auctioned right down to here. See how we came right back to that 1931 area? Can you see this? Mia, I need you to confirm that you see this, Sweet. This area right in here, this 1931. See this? We just shorted right here when we came into this 1930, right into this 1938 area. This is where we shorted. We were counting on getting rejection, okay, from, 1938. We shorted this area right here. We were counting on getting a rejection, okay? We got that rejection. They brought it right down to 1931 where there's been buyers, right? But we know if we can get underneath this area, that this was all a choppy area yesterday, right? So we want to take a portion of our profits right here, which we did. We just took it off. Did you see where we took it off? Or? Show me your screen. Come over here. Just come over here. Okay. We shorted here. Why did we short here? If you go back and you look all the way to the left, right? This was the last area, this 1938 1/4, right? This was the last little area where they were able to push up before we rolled to before we went to the downside. Remember, because we gapped down from up here. Oh yeah. Okay. So what happens, right? The market remembers where it last went to, correct? Okay. So because the market last remembers where it went to, we traveled over. It pushed it right up. The initial reaction off of the news. Remember, I told you there would probably be a violent reaction off of the news. The initial reaction off of the news pushed us right to this edge. So the risk was, right, if we shorted here, was that they would push all the way through here and up into this area, right? However, what we saw, right, was that they pushed up to this just to 1939, just past this 1938 area, and as soon as it dipped below, right, they were unable to get below, Remember how we're always talking about getting into a trade and having very low risk with the trade, meaning that we get a bunch of room for it to travel one way, but we have to gamble or risk very little for it to go the other way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. That's exactly what we did. Okay, we waited till it got right to this prime area. We saw them reject it, and essentially we could pay less than 2 points to find out if we could get the trade to travel to the other end of the range. When we traveled down here to this 1931, we took money off. Why? Because we've already seen that people are willing to step in here the first time. And look how quickly, remember I told you that it's dangerous when we trade on days like today. Okay. But look how quickly, when we got into this area, because remember this is 5 minutes, right? So when we got into this area, look how quickly it snapped it the other way, right? So if we look at this on a smaller chart, which we're going to do right now.
Could you clear off the screen?
Yes. If we go to a 1 minute chart, which we're going to do, okay, look how quick they've traveled to both sides of this. Now we're about to get stopped out on this trade the other way. So we would actually end up, if we didn't take the money that we had taken off, see how we have our stop sitting right here at 1939 right now? That's one tick above the high. But the reason why we had to take profits is if we didn't scale through all of this, meaning take our profits off when we were here, right, and here, if we did not do that right now, we'd be on the verge of losing money and or being forced to take the trade completely off the table, right? The other thing is realize this is a 1 minute chart, right? So let's spread this out. Look how we had to have the trade pre-planned in order to take it. Otherwise, we would have lost money. Look how quick it traveled from 38 to 31, right? Now in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, it's traveled all the way back to where we've shorted it, 37.50. So we're about to be down on the contracts that we shorted at 37.50. They're about to stop us on the balance. We'll still end up profitable because we were able to capture this 31 trade down here, but they're about to stop us out, and we have no idea. But the point of that is, if we didn't do our homework and know that this was a key area right here, and we didn't know that this was also going to be a key area down here, right? And then remember, this is right when the news came out. So look, they've shot it down, right? They rolled it all the way up almost 10 points, and they rolled it all the way down almost 9 points. So this move right here, this 10 points, is $500. This move down is almost $450. And then this move up is again going to be almost another $450. So if you miss time, if we do not time our entries correctly, okay, and we don't put our stops in the correct place, okay, we'll just end up getting rolled over. But also sweet. Okay, remember how I told you you can't be sure that it's just going to go in one direction, right? Because the fact is we don't know which way it's going to go. So that is why we pre-plan simply scaling out of the trade when it goes one way or the other. And then we don't have to worry about, like if they stop us now, right, up here at this 1939, we're not really worried about it because we've already taken profit off the table. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all we have to do. So now we just sit tight and we've gotten our trade. There's someone else somewhere in the world, right, who we bought essentially at 1931. We bought this trade, okay? Going the other way, right? There's someone we're going to have to buy the rest of our contracts because we sold them, right? We're short, okay? We're going to have to take this, and they will stop us. Also, what did we do, guys? I apologize. I'm trying to show the idea was that I could show both of you all and my daughter. I realize I'm speaking in much simpler terms. So let me back this up for a second. Maybe go turn on that fan, please. Okay. Okay, guys. What I was trying to show my daughter, same thing here, right? notice that the initial reaction, first of all, the reason why Fed is so damn hard to trade is look at the move is ridiculous, right? If you didn't nail it just perfectly, right, you could have actually gotten the long here and ended up losing money on this trade and vice versa. You could have taken it long here, stopped here, and ended up watching it go. There was a million ways to lose money. So I took one trade and one trade only. And the trade I took was the immediate rejection of this area. I interpreted that as they were going to push it back to the downside. Why did I key off of the short instead of the long? My assumption was because NQ was weak going into the number, that there would actually be some incentive to sell. I'm obviously going to be wrong about that because they're about to come in, and it looks like they're going to run over my stop here at 1939, right? It won't take much to push it at this point, which is fine. It's about to tag, and they can have it. No big deal. But the point behind that was, and there's my stop. Okay. The point behind all of this is that the only way to trade this is to pick very specific areas, right? We actually had a decent stretch here. If you look at this, look at from the bottom was 1929. Look at the other side of this stretch is 1939. It was exactly a 10-point rotation down. Okay, now if you look here where they're having issues, we're now into that poorly auctioned area that I had mentioned on the 5-minute bar. It's going to be useless to look on the 5-minute because, right? So we now know they've stopped us. Where are they most likely to take us? This open gap here at 1942 3/4 to 1944 3/4 is the most logical location. I was trying to teach my daughter how if you have your trades pre-planned and you can move very quickly, you can actually yank money out of the market on these things. Okay, in this case, we almost had 10 points available to us. You can see that one stretch, right? The problem with it is trading on days like today's, right? You can get this right and still end up losing money on this trade. I could still end up, well, I didn't lose money, but the reason I'm not re-entering is because I have no idea which way this trade goes from here, right? Same thing with NQ as far as pre-planned. Look at this from this morning, remember? I said the first time we drove down into prior day's low and that we had to get below this moving average. Look at the response off of that moving average back to the upside. So what has to happen now? First of all, the second time down, if it comes down, I'm not going to be near as eager to take this trade. Secondly, 1755 up to 1777, that's a 20-point stretch, right? If you go through and look, NQ is notorious for these 10 to 15-point stretches, right? We've still failed to get above Globex high on NQ, and NQ has actually been the weaker sister. So let's just play for grins, right? What would be the stop if you entered here? Well, if you took this 37.76, I'm just going to take two contracts just for fun. I have 76 and 76 1/4. The only way for me to manage this trade based on what's going on here today is to look at this 37.85 and say, okay, that has to be where it holds to the downside. I have two ways of trading this now. I can put my stop 1 point behind the high, which would be 37.8075, okay, which is where I have it sitting for right now, right? Or the other option is to come up and say, well, I'm just simply going to use a 10-point stop, which will get me behind the prior day's high. The way I think I'd rather handle it is to let it stop me at 1 point behind the high, and then if I'm going to take a short, take another short behind here. So at any rate, that's about all I wanted to show my daughter in terms of how fast it moves. And then also, look, the reversals are brutal on this thing, okay? So you have to scale quickly. You can't go, oh, I've nailed this, and I've got it in the right direction. So at the moment, I'm short 2 NQ. Certainly the response hasn't been a sell response, but it hasn't been a buy response either, okay? And I'm short 3776 and 3776 1/4. My stop is at 378075, and I had essentially a short where I scaled almost half of this. I took off a third up here somewhere. I'm going to have to go back and look at my fills. I took off more where it left me without 40% of the trade approximately down here at 1931 area. and then I got stopped on the balance, which was at the high, a tick above the high. And so now I'm taking NQ. Why am I taking NQ? We've rotated 15 to 20 points. Okay, now it's not exactly rejecting out of here, but it's not jetting through. And the way I'm going to handle that, for those who just joined, is I'm going to target for a stop is 1 point above today's high, which is 37.80.75. Okay, and then if we get beyond there, I'll look at Globex. I'll look at prior day's high for a potential trade entry. And what I should have done, which I did not do, was look at that. Was to look for that entry on. If you look here, I couldn't move fast enough. But if you look here, we actually came down. We closed above on this bar. Backside tested back below to the low. And I could have simply used an entry here, right, with a stop right here. I'm essentially doing the opposite of that here. I'm taking a short entry here with a stop right over here. I'm doing it backwards. Now, I may be on the wrong side of that trade, but that's how I'm handling. That's how I'm going to handle that. The next area I'll look at for a short will be this area. Why am I doing it this way, if at all? Why even bother, right? Well, first of all, it's literally 2 NQ contracts. It's simply for demonstration. It's not going to make me any significant amount of money either way. It'd be nice if it rolled over straight down, but I doubt that happens. Okay, secondly, I have no idea which way they're going to take it, and I have no way to interpret what the Fed's going to say. I do know that she's going to make comments 30 minutes after this. Okay, so 2 things that I wanted to show. First of all, it's incredibly fast. If you don't nail it exactly right, okay, you can get run over in a bad way, which means you need to have your trade locations down almost to a science. The second thing is you can't be afraid to let it stop you, because it's going to do whatever it's going to do. You have no control over it. I have no idea if we're going to run up another 20 or if we're going to turn around and get a sell response. At this point, there is clearly no sell response, and on ES, we are already starting to cut through, right? I know that I don't want to take a short on ES in this area. I either want to see it reject out and back below here, or I want to see it get up here, one of the two. But I don't want to step in here. This is all very poorly auctioned. Okay, so anyways, that's how you trade it when it's a fast market. And we'll see. So far, I consider myself getting lucky on the ES with that 10-point roll down, and I have no idea what they're going to do with it from here. I may get tagged out here in just a moment on this NQ trade. All right. Any questions? Happy to answer them. I know that was very quick and maybe not even clear. There's not a good way to be clear when the market's trading like that. Okay, I have no idea of whether the news was bullish or bearish. Of course, everything's been interpreted as bullish lately. Anyways, I don't know if they can actually say anything that would be interpreted as bearish. We're not ripping through this area, which is interestingly enough. However, that meeting's going to be delayed for another 8 minutes. I don't know if there's any. I'm hoping this. What I'm hoping to do by jumping on here is simply showing that A, it's hard. B, there are opportunities. C, you have to scale this stuff, right? When they push it, you have to scale it. And of course, here comes the push now. And they're probably going to push right into that meeting, which would put us right at this gap close. Okay. The other part, and I emphasized this earlier, when you're taking these trades on this day, you have to trade small enough. You have to assume they are going to stop you on some of these trades, right? The problem comes as people with small accounts try to trade this stuff, right? And they don't reduce their size because they can't, right? And then they get run over the wrong way. Can you imagine a guy today who took at this and saw, wow, we're down 10 points. That's it. We're about to roll over, right? And got smoked, right? He said, wow, we've bounced. Look how far we've rolled down. I'm going to take the short, right? And he's gotten absolutely annihilated to the upside. Same token with the guy who said, no, this is bullshit. We're going to roll to the upside. Took his long when we rolled right down into Globex low, right? And ended up getting stopped out right down here, only to watch it go higher. The only way to survive this is to know exactly where your trade locations are and hope that they get hit. And then also accept the stop if they're going to run you over on your stop, which they're about to do on my NQ. I don't see how it'll survive. And you'll see people try to step in halfway through there, right? There's just nothing here. That's why you're not getting any resistance. Resistance will come up here if they can push it up, or if they get lucky and they push back down below, right? So where do we need to get below in order to have an effective trap? We got to get below this point right here, and we got to get below Lubbock's low so that we have another chance at pushing lower. So we'll see if they're able to manage that or not. I hope this helps a little bit, guys. I'm, not trying to set a bad example. Other than to show my daughter, there are times when you've got to hustle fast. That was the entire point of getting on. And you've got to take your profits. You can't assume you've just hit a home run. Had I done that and I hadn't taken any money off the table, I'd be down on that trade right now, and it would have really sucked, quite frankly. Cool. I'm glad. Thanks, Mario. I'm glad that's helping out then. Realistically, my short is toast on this NQ. These two will get tagged out. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't know that for a fact, but there's no sellers unless they just decide right before Yellen starts speaking that they're going to turn around and give a sell response. That's yet to happen since she's been yapping. So and this will be short. I'm not going to stay on all the way to the end of the day. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, you know what? I forgot. And here they come to get me. It's almost certain that they'll take me. But I will not move that stop. They can have it either way. Oh, it was this first move right up in here into this area right here. So it's all one huge candle. See that? But basically, my entry was, I think I want to say it was 1937.50? I think was my entry. Hold on a second. I'll go look at my time and sales. Yes. 1937.50 were all my fills. So you'd have to look at it on a 1 minute bar to see it, Tom. And here comes the stop. Or not. I'll see if I can show it to you on the smaller time chart. It was on. It was either this bar or this bar. One of these two. This is 1 minute, but it was right here in this area. Right where I wanted to get it was right here, but they brought it in so fast and out so fast I didn't have a chance. Let's see what they're doing on the tick. So you'll notice they're holding it up here, by the way. a couple of things. Once again, you never know when you're actually going to get hit on your stop. Don't let your emotions come in. And whatever you decided your stop was, live with it. Okay? I could have covered this thing 4 times already. I have no idea if I'll make money on this trade or not. It's 2 contracts, but I mean the point is still valid. If it's 2 contracts or it's 1,000 contracts, it's the same thing. Decide what your strategy is going to be. I'm pretty clear on my strategy on NQ. I'm willing to stop it there and give it another shot at yesterday's high. Okay. Secondly, I have no idea that they're going to roll this thing back to the downside or not. Where am I looking for it to get back below? Well, here's your first. Let's see. Where's our first hour high today? Let's roll this in for a second here. Okay, let's change this time for a second. 5 minutes. Here's first hour high. Okay, I need to see us close below here and below prior day's high before I get overly excited to the short side. That's all there is to it. Pretty simple formula. Okay, or get it way up there. One of the two, which they're welcome to do as well. Realistically, what I would have liked to have said I did was not only did I cover at 1931, but I flipped and went long. I wasn't quite that bright. So, wish I was, but I didn't. And I haven't heard back from, hey man. Okay, so we'll wait 15 minutes. Okay guys, so I'll be turning this off in 10 minutes. I have a coaching client, and you should be able to guide yourselves from here in terms of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 2 areas specifically. I'm either looking for ES to trade up into this area for potential short. It's the same as any other zone would be. First time in, 2 points behind, right? Additionally, obviously she just started speaking, right? That took care of the tick. Nice, again. What was I going to say? So now what am I looking for? I'm either looking for a trade up into this area. So where's the stop? Okay, so let's talk about this if you take the trade in here. The stop is either 2 points behind the zone. Where does that pitch you? 1946 and 3/4. 3 ticks away from the high. Obviously, you want to adjust to handle that. How would I handle this in a preferable fashion? Well, one of 2 things. I either want to wait till we get back here to the 1947 so I don't take a full stop. Let's think this through, right? Or the other way to handle that is to look for tick divergence on 1 minute. Well, we don't have tick divergence right now. We do have over 1,000 tick, and it came right up to that 1942.50, right? Now, I have no idea what Janet Yellen's going to say, okay? So let's just say for the sake of conversation, since I'm already willing to do things for the sake of conversation, right? Let's see if they can push it just a little bit higher, 1942.50. They can't. They're stopping. I'm shorting 1 contract, 1942.50, 2 contracts. This is very small. This is on ES. Okay. Where am I going to put my stop? Okay, so I'm going to adjust for what this is. Right? Again, I'm not trading my full size. I don't care. I'm not trying to set the world on fire. I'm just trying to demonstrate. The best way to demonstrate is with real money. We came right up to the point trade location where we said we should find resistance, right? This is where it's no longer poorly auctioned. We are getting a reaction off of that. The reaction that we're seeing right now, this rejection down, that is the market reacting to that structure. It does not have to roll down 20 points to be effective. The fact of the matter is we came right to that 42.50, 42 3/4. It paused, right? And then it sold lower. Now, after we initially sell lower, even if it's 2 or 3 ticks, right, it's been tested. Can it come back above? How strong is it? I have no earthly idea how strong it is, right? I have no idea if she's going to push to a new high, what she's going to do. If you look at it and you say, okay, well, now my stop, you have a couple of choices, right? The proper stop under normal circumstances is 2 points behind here. Problem is, this is the high. So you can reason. So how are you going to reason through this whole thing? Well, there is no way to reason through this whole thing, right? You've got to trade small enough to realize that it can trade all the way up to here and still reject back down. So how am I going to handle this? 1942.50. I need 1940.50 to get my first scale. So I'm going to limit this. Oh heck, I forgot we were trading 6 ticks, aren't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1941, I didn't cover it. I will cover it at 1941 just to show that I can be a good disciplined individual. See if I can get my fill. Nothing yet. Done. Okay, so I now have covered of my 2 contracts. I've covered one of those contracts. I shorted exactly when it got to this 1942 3/4. Okay, I took a tick in front. I'm going to audible a little bit on a day like today. Okay, so now what are my choices? If I don't want to lose any money, I've just picked up 6 ticks. I can look at this, and my entry was 42.50. Okay, so I can go ahead and move that stop to 41.50, 42. Excuse me, is that right? 42.50, 43.50, 44. I can put my buy stop at 44, and that'll put me at net break even, or I can just simply move my limit down to 42.50 and let the trade work. Will it work? I don't know. It's a lottery ticket now. Who cares, right? The easiest way, you want to make sure that you don't lose any, that you take money out of that trade, put your stop at 43. If that 42.75 was the high, you simply are risking 2 ticks, right? And you end up walking out net on the half that you took, 4 ticks, right? So you end up making a point on a trade, and you had a good trade location. Are you really convinced that that's fantastic location? Well, let's go look and see if this is truly fantastic trade location. Hold on a second here. Let's go to the 5-minute. By the way, just for the sake of conversation, I've moved my stop to net break even, 1944. I don't want to lose money just to demonstrate how to do this properly. Okay, so what is my rotation? I've moved from, let's call it 30 to 40. So there's sigma. What's 40 to 45 would bring sigma and a half. And then, is that right? 30, 40, 45. And then finally, 1950 would give me 2 sigma, right? Twice the average move. Okay, so those are the locations above where we should look for structure. If I'm up here, do I want to take this short randomly? Nope. If it gets up here, I'm just fine waiting to see if it gets below here, taking a trap trade and seeing if that'll stick back to the downside, right? That's how I would handle this area, okay? This was really the only area I'm interested in, and you can see structure. The great thing about a fast market is fantastic. Did y'all see how fast it moved through that area, got to a specific structure, stopped on a dime, actually gave us time to think about it, right? I don't know how long that was, 10, 15, 20 seconds. But actually gave me time to sit there and go, hey, what do I want to do in this situation? And then take the trade. So anyways, that's what I've got so far, guys. Does anyone have any questions? This is my kind of, I love the fast markets. This was good. It wasn't overly volatile. Well, I guess the open was. Damn, it's rare that I'll take a 10-point round trip on even a portion of a trade, but I did. But I took some money off on that trade. I took some money off on, I didn't take any money out of NQ, but again, it's so small it's not going to have an impact on me one way or the other. It was purely to demonstrate what was possible. And this, by the way, when I say what's a good market versus what's a crap market, this is a good market. I can see the market moving quickly. I can see when they run into areas that they are going to respect, and I can literally see the dome stop. Okay? And also remember, right, what's on our agenda from this side? Okay, so let's look at it from the other way now. What is all of this? This is the epitome of, now, poorly auctioned, right? All this is poorly auctioned all the way down to right here now, okay? And we also know that that area was chop city in between. So what can happen now if we go the other way? Do you think we can get down to this 1926.50? Hell yeah, that's possible. 1926.50 is entirely possible at this point. Incredibly poorly auctioned. I mean, it's basically, there's no price discovery whatsoever. This is just simply ripping through based on whatever Janet Yellen happens to be yapping about at this very second. Okay? So however you handle the trade from there when you're trading, that's how you do it. I don't have you've got to accept that on NQ you might have your butt handed to you, and you still have got to be able to take the ES trade. And you've also got to do it in a fashion where it's not helter-skelter and you're just guessing, right? You notice I didn't turn around and go, oh, I'm going to take it here. I didn't. What bad traders do is they go, oh, I got stopped here, I'm going to short here. I got stopped here, I'm going to short here. I got stopped here, I'm going to short again. And what you end up with, yeah, eventually you might get it so that you get a 5-point trade. The problem is you've racked up so much commissions and so many stops in this process that you may get it right, but guess what? That guy needs it to come all the way down like this to make that work. And you didn't have to, even in a fast market, right? First time into this location, gave you a great rotation down. First time into this location, gave you a great rotation down. And if we want to right now, right, if you don't want to take any risk to the downside on this trade, all you have to do is move your stop to 1942.50, okay, and leave the stop there. If it stops, now what's the risk to that? Maybe it ticks 1943 and then rolls to the downside. I have no clue. I'm not listening. I'm not even listening to what they're yapping about over there on the interest rates. I don't care. Okay. Amazon came out with news. I don't care. Right. All I'm thinking about is how do I manage this thing properly? How do I get lucky? And then the last piece that's important for every trade, guys. Okay. I want to stress something. This is what the market looks like for you guys that are new in the room. This is what the market looks like when we're under normal trading conditions. Okay. Meaning, earlier this year, if you go back to when we hopefully get to October, November, December, right? The market moves quick. That's why yesterday morning when I was watching NQ and I was watching ES, the addition of losing the speed of the market makes this business a whole lot harder. Speed kills, right? It kills on both sides. If you can wait and find out right when they run out of juice, okay, you can make a tremendous amount of money. But if I'm having to just simply watch, let's take it the other way. Let's say we dribbled up like this, right? And it took an hour and a half to get here, and we didn't trade fast at all, and then we just sat here like this for 2 or 3 hours. I took the short, and then I wasn't able to get any risk off, and then we traded down like this. Well, yeah, I still had the right trade location. Freaking awesome, right? What didn't I have? I didn't have the ability to get any risk off. This speed right here allows me to dump that risk off really quickly. Okay, and notice I was trading 2 contracts. Okay, 2 contracts, pretty much nothing for me, right? I wouldn't even notice it. Okay, it won't make any impact on my P&L for the day whatsoever. Okay, but what it did demonstrate highly effectively, even if I had 100 contracts on, and I took half those contracts off on my first 2 points, the rest of the trade is essentially a no-worry situation for me, okay? And that's what I want to teach to y'all. There are times when you can't pre-plan for the market. I couldn't have looked at this action prior and gone, oh, this is what I'm going to do, or this is exactly how I'm going to trade it before it came out. No. What did I have to see? First of all, I had to see there was responsive buyers down here, right, that we weren't able to push below. The second thing, what did I have to see? That we got up into this poorly auctioned area, we were able to push through with good velocity. And then what I actually saw in real time was that the market stopped when we got here and gave me an opportunity to get into this trade without having to commit to it beforehand. Okay, so those are the situations when I talk to you guys individually about, and today's not the day to make, to try to make a killing, right? There's too much random stuff associated with this and too much OTF going on. I'm not trying to encourage anyone to trade Fed days, but what I am trying to encourage is recognize when the price action is in your favor and makes it easy to get risk on and off, okay, and gives you those quick rotations down, right? So you get that risk off, and now you can just sit there and go, well, look, my worst case scenario is I don't make any money on this trade. That's the worst they can do to me. And what's my best case scenario? Well, dude, maybe I actually caught the top of this gap here, right? If I can get back below this area right here, right? If I can get back below, I actually have a shot at watching them take this thing south, right? If I actually put on any size, I'd be scaling some right here at this 1939, right? So the speed allows you to take advantage of others who have made trading errors. There's some poor schmuck who for some reason watched it come all the way down to 1930 and then at 1942 and 3/4 decided that was his grand opportunity to get long. Why the hell someone would do that is beyond me, okay? But someone did it, right? Somebody did that. Someone gave us that opportunity. That's what we're looking for in markets, okay? Now, can that work against you sometimes? Hell yeah. Look what happened to me in CL this morning, right? But CL is a different market. You've got to understand that. CL is a very thin market relative to ES. ES has a ton of contracts available to trade to it. Like, look right now. Okay, so on the bid right now, there's 350 contracts. I can hit market and hit those 350 contracts to sell right now. The ask, there's only 94 on the ask, but I can hit one level above. There's 500 and take all 500 to the long side. You never get that. Like, compare that to NQ. There's 13 above and 13 below, right? Also on NQ, did you notice how we got, and I missed this, should have gotten it, but we came almost, not quite, almost to yesterday's high, and we rejected. It looks like it's literally one tick in front. Let's see what the high is. I show 37.85 as the high, and I show 37.84 as the high here. Did we hit it earlier this morning? No, we didn't. So we just simply missed it by a point. So there was no way I was going to get a fill up there. But remember when I said this morning, right, if I get stopped, where's my next area? 37.85. So they didn't give it to me. No big deal. They gave it to me over on ES. Is this making sense, or am I just ranting like a madman? Because I find this is the stuff that just juices me and gets me excited and makes trading awesome. Okay, and so most of the time it's so violent that I can't trade, right? I can't read the price action because it's the other way. It's so fast and it's so uncontrollable that I can't step in on it, right? That's my concern. Luckily, what's actually ended up happening is because we were so incredibly slow that the increased pace has just brought it back to normal and given us an opportunity to see some good trading. So let's see here. Hold on one second here. Just make sure I'm not missing anything critical. Okay, I'm good. Sorry, So that's all we got. Now it's a matter of flip it one way or flip it another. So, great. Glad to hear that, buddy. No problem, Jeremy. Great. Glad. Welcome, Steve. So at any rate, guys, that's all that's going on. I'm going to mark this day as mediocre thanks to my awesome poor performance in CL this morning. Oh, by the way, speaking of CL, let's just follow up on that really quick while doing everything else. Okay, the reason why I will keep taking trades like that, and you have to be, CL's harder than most, and trading on the day I chose to trade on was probably not a great idea, but that being said, remember when I mentioned when we were down here and I said I would like 33. Here, let me manipulate this. Okay, so I got the location wrong in terms of the trade overall. This was where I said I wanted it. Right there, the low was 36. I missed by 3 ticks on my last entry. So we rolled from there almost all the way up to 106. Okay, so that is a huge move, guys. That is almost 70 ticks. Okay, and I'm not going to say whether I should have gotten that trade or not at all. However, most days, the other thing I wanted to point out that I pointed out to a client later, if you look at CL, if we collapse this really quick, is this. If you'll go look in the U.S. session, right after we opened, almost every single day after the initial dip, we have had fantastic pushes back to the upside almost every day, almost like clockwork here. Even here where we initially rolled down, the push back up was freaking awesome. And so I'm willing to get smoked on one day as long as I can keep catching these upside moves shortly after we open on all the other days. So this is what I'm going to do now because I have to move on to a coaching session. I'm going to move the stop, okay, on this second contract right to the high of the day plus a tick, so 1943. They want to come take it. They can take it. I'll lose literally 2 ticks on it. Otherwise, I'm not going to cover to the close. So I'm either going to lose on this trade or I'm going to try and swing it all the way down. So now that everyone understands that, it's one contract. I'm just going to demonstrate how I would try to put on a swing trade at this point. If you have conviction that this is going to hold and we're not going to drive at the end of the day, and Lord knows I have no clue, okay? But if that's the case, right, and I've gotten fantastic position, maybe I get lucky, maybe I don't. I'll put my stop 1 tick above and see if they can't bring it back up, and then if we can't swing it back down towards this 1930. It's completely plausible. All of this is poorly auctioned all the way down, so we all know that it's very likely to get redone back on the downside at some point. We don't know when. It could be overnight, or the flip side of that argument is this, which is, okay, we pulled, let's change this to a 15-minute chart really quick. Okay, so 1 or 2 potentials. 1947.50 down to 1917 is going to be our extended trading range. That would be a good trading range. That's what, 35 points, right? That'd be a good up and down trading range. Or the second choice in that is we're going to break out above 1947.50 and we're going to come explore prices higher, and we're not going to worry about this stuff down here. I don't have any idea. 1947.50 is really the next area where they're going to have to do battle, and we'll probably find out more about that tomorrow morning. It's 10 minutes till. It looks like they're driving higher, and they're just going to come out and tag me out on the second one, which is cool. No big deal. So I hope this was helpful, guys, and I will see the rest of y'all in the morning, and I will keep trying to use these opportunities to teach y'all. Okay? Don't go trade the next Fed release. It's not easy. It took me years to get good enough to be able to do that. Okay? But recognize, right, take a mental videotape of this price action, okay, because when y'all are asking me during the day, is this good trade action, or should I be trading here, or why are you not trading in these areas, okay, good price action versus crap price action. Good price action is easy to read, and it's easy to get risk off on, right? None of y'all would be worried right now if y'all took 1942.50, you took your 2 points, and you move your stop to break even or to the swing high, whatever it is. No one would be sweating it, right? The biggest decision is, do I give back profits on the other half of this trade or not, right? When we have crap price action, we have to sit there for 2 hours just to get 2 points or 6 ticks or whatever it is, right? And we have to agonize. We use emotional capital. So realize and visualize what this looks like when it's good, visualize what it looks like when it's crap, and then adjust your risk according to what you can emotionally handle sitting through, which for me, I'd rather wait a year to get this kind of price action than have to trade through slow crap like we've been having in the middle of the day yesterday, and this 10 and 11 and 12 p.m. stuff that we've been having that's just agonizing for me. So anyways, have a great day, guys. I'm glad that was helpful. We'll talk later. Damien, I will be on with you on Skype in 2 minutes. I need to go check on my daughter real quick.